This video is for students who want to achieve better grades and ace their exams. How many times happened to you that you feel that you're really working hard, you're really studying hard, but you still don't get the results you deserve? And how many times happens to you that you decide that today I will study from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. and then exactly at 3 p.m. you come to your study table, but the problem is you just simply can't open the textbook and start studying. Maybe at 3:05, 3:10 you tell yourself that let me do it some other time. Happens to you? Now, if you're experiencing one of these things, the reason is you are affected by study traps. Now, what's a study trap? A study trap is something that stops you from moving ahead, especially when it comes to preparing for examinations. So let me explain to you what these 7 study traps are, and as I'm explaining each of these things, so make a note of, oh, do I have these traps? Now, it is possible that in an extreme case, you have all the 7 study traps, or in some cases maybe you have 1 or 2. So the more study traps that you have, of course, the harder that you need to work to eliminate them, because if you have these study traps, you are going to have a lot of frustration. So what's going to happen is I'm going to give you the study traps, and also I'm going to give you some quick ideas on how you can overcome those study traps. Study trap number 1, lack of a step-by-step system. Now, when it comes to playing a game, do you ever play a game without a system, without a strategy? I mean, if you do that, what would happen? You just lose the game, right? So similarly, when it comes to studying, every time you sit down for studying, do you use a proper system to study? And if you don't have it, what happens is every time you sit down for studying, you're trying to figure out how to study, and that is going to be a problem. When it comes to how to study well, there are many things that you can do, but I'm going to give you some quick ideas here. So if you see here, there's going to be a video where I talked about the 7 steps to learning anything effectively. Now you can actually use all the 7 steps every time you sit down for studying, or you could just modify them and maybe use 5 of them, but you must have a series of steps that you need to execute every time you sit down for studying, because when you do that, that actually gives you power and your study sessions become more effective. Study trap number 2, lack of interest. Now it is possible that as part of your studying, you might have to study some topics or some subjects that might not be very interesting. But the way the exam system works is they are going to test you on all the topics and all the subjects, whether you like them or not. They don't really care. You'll be tested on all the topics and all the subjects. Now, if you really want to get better grades and if you really want to ace your examinations, you have to have a significant level of interest, even on the subjects that you don't like. So how do you work on that? Now, when it comes to boring subjects, really what I realize is they're really not boring subjects. Subject by itself is not boring. For example, I can say math is boring, but math is not boring. I find math boring because someone else, for them, math is the subject they love, right? So it's not about the subject is boring. It's usually the way we approach the subject. So what you need to do is you need to change the way you approach the subject. And here's a video where I talk about visualization. One of the ways of how you can generate interest in the subjects on which especially you're not really interested on is to look at visualization, because visualization really helps you to look at the information in a different perspective. So that is trap number 2. Study trap number 3 is fear. For many students, fear of examinations is a big problem. I mean, things like, how can I study so much? What happens if I don't do well? What happens if I forget answers in the examination? So all these are fears, but here's the thing. The only way in which you can eliminate fear is by preparation. So what you need to do for this is simply you need to do practice tests or you need to do mock tests. But here's a critical aspect to it. When you're doing a practice test, when you're doing a mock test, you need to do it under exam conditions. Now, it's also true that you might know that you must do practice tests, but the question is, are you doing it? Now, you really have to do that. Can you imagine athletes not practicing or stage actors not doing rehearsals? Now, when it comes to students, the same thing applies. If you really want to be really good, all you need to do is to do some rehearsals. In this case, practice tests or mock tests are essential to eliminate the fear. In fact, the more practice tests you do, the easier it is for you not to have any fear. Study trap number 4, lack of concentration. This is a big problem, especially in today's world. We got too many devices, too many notifications, and you are bombarded with notifications all the time. So here's the thing. If you are spending 60 minutes, but on and off, you're checking your phone, checking your email, and going out and coming out of the study session, well, that is really a waste of time. I would rather have a short study session and have absolute laser focus in that than to have a long study session filled with distractions and interruptions. Now, one simple idea is to set up your environment. Just before you begin studying, just make sure that your environment where you're studying is free of distractions, free of interruptions. In fact, I have another video right here where you can learn some more ideas on how you can eliminate this study trap. Study trap number 5 is equating studying with pain or pressure. Now, every time you open a textbook and you're saying, oh my God, I can't manage this, what's happening? You're sending a signal to the brain that opening the textbook equals to stress. Now, what happens? So every time you want to open a textbook now, you don't even want to open it because you don't want the stress, and that is the reason why you keep on postponing, you keep on procrastinating. So how do you eliminate that? One simple idea is, don't say, I want to study chemistry, if chemistry is what you're studying. Because first of all, even though you're studying chemistry, you're not going to study the entire chemistry in that study session. You're only studying a specific thing in chemistry in that session. So rather choose what exactly that you want to study and just say that in your mind. I want to study chemical bonding today. So that's actually a lot better because that's exactly what you're doing. And also, if you want to reduce your stress even further, obviously in one study session, you probably can't cover the whole of chemical bonding. Again, it depends on what level of education you are in and what kind of concepts you're learning. So in chemical bonding, again, you can just go down a little bit deeper and say, what exactly in chemical bonding are you studying today? And you can just say that, okay, today I want to learn the molecular orbital theory. Boom, there you have it. The moment you say, I want to study chemistry, it actually becomes like a big stress and you don't want to do that. So try it the next time and you'll see it really works. Doing this also reduces your pressure and increases your focus because you're being very specific of what you want to achieve in that study session. Trap number 6, bad time management. Now, if you don't manage your time, it is going to be a huge problem. Now, you could be a person who is really interested in a subject and maybe you can also really focus, but all your interest and all your focus is of no use if you're not using your time wisely. Here's one simple idea that you could do. Every day, when you're about to sleep, plan for the next day and specifically plan for these 2 things. What should I study and when should I study? What should I study and when should I study? Okay, I want to study this topic, this topic, this topic, and when should I study? Oh, I'll do this from 3 to 4. I'll do this from maybe 4:30 to 5 o'clock. So, I mean, it depends on what kind of goal that you have and how much time you have on that day. But if you pre-plan how you're going to spend the next day, exactly what to study and when to study, it's going to be that much more easier for you to manage the time on the next day. Because if you don't have that, what happens? So the moment you wake up in the morning and you know that you have to study and then you're thinking, okay, I will come to that, and then who knows whether you're going to study or not, right? So how many times I've seen students, they wake up in the morning and they think that, today I'm going to really study, and then they spend the whole day on distractions, interruptions, and it's already night 11 o'clock and they're thinking, holy cow, I haven't studied anything, and you know what? Tomorrow I'm going to study. I mean, I'm sure that you're familiar with this, or someone who's familiar with this experience. It happens a lot. It's all because of not properly planning your time. That brings us to the last trap, study trap number 7, poor retention. What that means is you spend some time on learning only to realize the next day you forgot most of it. So in some cases, people forget it a week later, but in many cases, people forget it the next day. And in some extreme cases, people forget it on the same day. Now, if you're spending a lot of time and only to realize that you forget everything on the same day or the next day, that is disheartening and that is not a good thing. And if this keeps on happening, what happens? You will start losing interest. That's another trap we talked about. And also, you will start equating learning, studying with pain and pressure. That's another trap we talked about. Now again, when it comes to improving your memory, there are a lot of things that you could do. Again, watch this video right here where I go through 5 steps to supercharge your memory. Now, I conduct training programs for students, and in the last 20 years, after dealing with thousands of students, I have realized that many students have traps, and these are the top 7 traps that people have. Now, not only you know these 7 study traps, but also I've given you ideas on how you can come out of these things. So all you need to do is to find out, okay, how many of these traps do I have and what actions do I need to take, and go work on them. By the way, if you've not yet subscribed to my channel, click on the red subscribe button and also click on the bell icon so that the next time I post a video, you get a notification. And also share this video with people who you think will benefit from this. And let me know in the comment section what you think about this video.